Why don't you give me a sign, like the sea that leaves a trail along that shore? It's not your problem, it's mine. Everybody thinks that I'm okay. Sometimes I think I am too. I'm on the outside looking in, I'm waiting for the shockwaves to begin. Oh, won't you let me hold you for one time? Just a rainy day in a London cafe, a London cafe. So give me one last serenade. Say to me or swear at me till the night turns into day. And it was a shame when daylight faded, because we didn't notice at all.
If someone had told me that millions of people were just going to disappear, I, like you, would have said they were crazy.
Was it the rapture?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Are you sure? I mean, are you really sure?
I saw it happen.
Hello, I'm Sophia Jessica, and welcome to the Fan Carpet.
Thank you. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this. It's wonderful to speak to you again. How have you been?
Been good. Been busy. I shot, besides this movie that just came out in theaters here, I got two other ones that are coming out later this year, and those are both all shot back in 2021. And then 2022, I shot 5 other movies that will be out late this year, early next year. So I've been staying busy.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And I look forward to speaking to you about those. So what was it about Left Behind that made you want to say, yeah, I need to add an entry to this global franchise?
Well, I read the books back in the 90s, and I knew Jerry Jenkins, and I know his son, Dallas Jenkins. Dallas directed me in a movie called What If that came out. Same writers that did God's Not Dead. And I always tell people, please see What If. In my mind, it's a much better movie than God's Not Dead. And God's Not Dead was the one that exploded and got so big. But when they came to me back in 2015, actually, Nicolas Cage has just done the last one. And they got just so many emails from fans saying the role of Rayford Steele should have been Kevin Sorbo, not Nicolas Cage. So they called me up and said, well, the next one, you're our guy. And I said, okay, and it took all these years later. And they came to me and said, okay, we got the script. We want you to direct it as well. And I said, I'd be honored. I want to direct it anyway. But I've always loved the franchise. I just jumped on board right away. I mean, the only setback we had was that they delayed the shooting by about 4 months. We were supposed to shoot in the summertime up in Canada. But then the writers up at Cloud 10 there, Paul Lalonde and Jessica Parker, decided they want to do a total rewrite from page 1. And so we didn't start filming until October, November. And October, November into December in Calgary can be very cold and snowy. But we got very lucky with the weather that year. And I don't know, I thought it turned out pretty well. It did very well in theaters here.
Awesome. Yeah, it was released on Monday here. So it came on digital with 101 Films. Came out on digital.
101 Films. Is it in theaters?
I'm not sure if it's had a theater run, but I know it's on digital.
Yeah, and I think they got the DVD and streaming as well. I think you're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
cool. Good.
That's awesome. So obviously you share the screen with another screen icon in Neal McDonough. How was he to work with?
Neal's a dear friend. I've known Neal for over 25 years, and we always talk about doing a movie together. So I called him up and I said, Neal, I got a great role, man. Please read this script. Here's a chance for us finally to work together. And he was fantastic. He came in and nailed it. He actually just sent me another script recently, a Western. I love doing Westerns. I've shot 4 of them. And he wants me to play his brother in it. And it's very Yellowstone violent, but it's like a Cain and Abel story. So there's a biblical element to it, but it's not like in your face with the Bible or anything. But it's we're hoping to raise money for this and get this thing done. But Neal was great.
Awesome. I can see you as his brother. And Westerns are definitely having a comeback at the moment, especially with the success of the Walker franchise and various other franchises, and Yellowstone that you mentioned, the whole thing from Tate. That's just amazing. His whole universe that he's building.
Yeah, well, no question. Like I said, I've done 4 in the past, and I love doing them. So I'm hoping we can get this thing done, because I've got a couple of other ones too that I want to raise money for. That it's just, I think it's a genre I grew up because my dad, back in the late 60s and all through the 70s, Westerns were still pretty much a mainstay in television. They're just fun to do. I remember meeting Robert Duvall about, my gosh, it's gonna be 10, 11 years ago already. The first time I met him, we had a long talk, and he said, every actor should do a Western. He goes, it's the best genre to do a thing. And I said, well, Mr. Duvall, I'd love to do it with you. So, but he's getting up there, and I don't know if he's acting much anymore. He's got to be about 90 years old now.
Yeah, I think he's still acting. He might have retired. I'm not sure, but I mean, he's a screen icon.
Oh yeah, no question.
Yeah, awesome. Obviously you're no stranger to this, but how do you find directing yourself as well as acting in the film?
I started back during the Hercules years, 1996 or 5. It was the third season of Hercules. And I asked the studio if I could direct, and they said, yeah. So I said, oh, thanks. And I've been on sets for so long, and I learn a lot by watching what the other side of the camera teams are doing, whether it's lighting, whether it's camera, whether it's hair and makeup, visual effects, whatever it may be. I learned a lot by asking questions, because I always wanted to direct. So if I'm in the scene, then I usually have my first AD call action. I don't want to I want to be in the scene. I don't want to worry about cutting it or whatever like that. And so I stay focused with that. And I always want the eyes. I always hire people on the other side of the camera. I said, keep an eye on, if I'm acting in the scene, keep an eye on what we're doing. And you get a lot of first ADs that have not first ADs, well, first ADs as well, but as directors, as well as director of photographies that have dabbled into directing as well. So I'm always open to hear their opinions on a scene that I'm in, not just necessarily from my acting point of view, but also, the other actors I'm working with. Because in the scene, I want to stay focused. I don't want to be director. I want to be that character in that scene.
Well, absolutely. Awesome. You started your career on television. Do you see that as something that you'll be going back to? Because obviously, at the moment, with the likes of Yellowstone and Walker and etc., we seem to be in a golden age of television at the moment. Do you see that for yourself, either in front of the camera or behind it?
I would love to get back in this series again. I did 7 years on Hercules, went right into Andromeda, 5 years in Andromeda. And I did a pilot for a half-hour comedy called Bobby Cannon. And it was very well received, but the network, ABC, didn't pick it up, which was really shocking to me, because they had 28 new pilots that year. And in the 8 cities they test marketed that thing, we were #1. And it was written by Barry Kemp. Well, Barry Kemp's a very famous writer. He wrote the Bob Newhart series. He wrote the Coach series with Craig T. Nelson. Norm Macdonald's TV series. It's a very funny comedy. People can find it online. Just go to Bobby Cannon, and you guys be the judge. But I look at sitcoms that are on TV now going, my show is better than that. We had a great cast. But you can never figure out. I mean, one guy at every studio, a network, can decide if a show gets picked up or not. And who knows the reasons behind why they say yes or no. It could be politically, it could be whatever. It could be, I got to deal with this guy. I can't use your comedy. I got to use his comedy. Who knows? But it's frustrating when you do a show that, as good as Bobby Cannon was, from such a quality writer and showrunner like Barry Kemp, it was frustrating. And then I did a couple of the pilots that didn't go either. So I just really started doing a lot of independent movies, and I've shot over 80 of them since the Andromeda years. So they're not all good, but most of them are pretty good. But I would love to do a series again, because I love that, even though every day is different on the set, because it's the different scenes, different everything else. I love the regular steady stream of I had 12 straight years Hercules from '93 to 2005. I was always on a television set, and I loved it. And it becomes your family. These movies are a little tougher, because it's like you're trying to raise $3 million here, $3 million there. And I know it sounds like a lot of money, but that's catering budget in Pirates of the Caribbean. Those are $300 million movies, and we got to compete against those guys. So I would love to get back in something that's a little more steady, for sure.
Awesome. And obviously now with streaming services, that seems to be the place to go. Like you've got your Disney Plus and your Netflix and your Amazon Primes, and I mean Amazon have launched their Amazon TV service, which is bringing back one of my favorite shows, Neighbours, later on this year. What do you think about streaming services, and do you see them opening up doors for you as a creator?
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, I had a movie called Let There Be Light that opened #2 per screen average against Thor Ragnarok back in 2018, whatever it was. We're a $3 million movie up against a $300 million movie. And Netflix called me up and said, hey, we want to open up a family network with you here, inspirational division here at Netflix. So I had 4 meetings with those guys over 3 months. I gave them some great content, great ideas. But they ultimately didn't do anything, which I thought was weird. And I said, there's 80 million homes in America alone that want the kind of movies that I do. Why would you not cater to that? I never really got a solid answer for them. I just think there's such a weird ideology right now going on in the world, with all this hatred and anger and divisiveness and cancel culture and the woke craziness, and it's unfortunate, because I think there's a lot of families out there that want movies that their whole families can see, or television shows the whole family can see. And I don't think the networks and the cable outlets are really doing that many of those. I think you'd have hard pressed getting another Hercules on the air again for whatever reasons. I don't know why, but I think, it came out at the right time at the right place. We had all these copycat shows. By season 3, we had all those other shows trying to copy what we were doing with Tarzan and Conan and Robin Hood and Sinbad, all these different shows, and Beastmaster, but my show became the most watched show in the world. So there, we got to brag about it a little bit.
Why not? It's an incredible show. I mean, we still love it to this day. And it's probably the first thing I saw you in it, to be perfectly honest. We ended up in 176 countries, and it was amazing. It's still like in 60 countries, which is pretty cool. And my dad still refers to you as Dylan Hunt.
All right, I love it. And look, for me to get that, I'm a huge Star Trek fan. And for me to follow in the footsteps of Captain Kirk, because Dylan Hunt was the first captain that Gene Roddenberry created after the original Star Trek series got canceled. And he wrote the series back in 1969. So when Major Roddenberry called me up during the last 7th season of Hercules saying, I got this show that my husband wrote, and I think he'd love you as Captain Dylan Hunt, I just said, Major, stop, I'm in. I mean, so we did 5 years on that show, and it would have got 2 more years, but the company that owned us, unfortunately, went into bankruptcy. We were doing fine. We were making money for them, but they had so many other things going on that they had to freeze all their assets. So fans got robbed of 44 more episodes. And trust me, the cast and the crew were not happy that we had 5 seasons and we were done.
Well, with the success of Picard, who knows? There could be there could be a Dylan Hunt series just around the corner. Who knows?
Never know. It's up to Rod Roddenberry now.
Yeah. And in him we trust. Awesome. Yeah. So you're always busy. You mentioned that you've got another 5 projects that you're working on. Is there anything you're working on presently that you can talk about?
I'm leaving this week, actually. I'm going to North Carolina to shoot a movie called A Normal Life. It's a true story about this guy that was he was deaf by the age of 6. With hearing aids, he was able to hear. But it goes through what chronicle his life. So they got a kid playing me as a kid, another one as a teenager. Then I take over after that when he gets in his 30s, 40s, and beyond. And it's a very touching, funny story about this guy that went from somebody that was suffering through this disability to doing stand-up comedy to becoming a mortician. It's pretty interesting. So it'll be fun when that movie comes out. But it's called A Normal Life, and but I've got another one that's coming out in theaters called the Reagan movie. Dennis Quaid plays President Reagan. I played his pastor in it, and then another movie I directed called Miracle in East Texas, which is a true story set in 1930. It's about the largest oil find in the history of the world in Texas, right in the heart of the Great Depression in 1930. So a wonderful story written by Dan Gordon, who's an Oscar-nominated writer. And he wrote The Hurricane, Denzel Washington, White Earp, Kevin Costner, speaking of Westerns. and he wrote 60 episodes of a series called Highway to Heaven with Michael Landon. So, you know, staying busy. And I got a wonderful zombie movie coming out, a comedy zombie movie coming out. And I played a 700-year-old vampire in another movie. So it was a fun year last year.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to all of that. Well, once again, Kevin, it's an absolute pleasure to speak to you. You are one of my heroes from childhood, and you'll always will be. So, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your days. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mark. And hey, tell everybody listening, go to sorbostudios.com, sorbostudios.com, and sign up. We'll keep you up to date. A lot of great information on that site.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram for more content next time.
It's still so easy to dismiss it, even though we saw it with our own eyes.
I'm here on the largest of the Balearic Islands, Mallorca, with the turquoise waters of the Mediterranean Sea, beautiful mountainous landscape, the thriving city of Palma, quaint little market towns, a growing number of luxury hotels. It's no surprise that the likes of Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor like to holiday here. So come and join me as I take you around Mallorca.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. If you like this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button at the bottom of your screen. And also be sure to subscribe to the Fan Carpet YouTube channels. They're absolutely free and so much fun too. Be sure to check out the official website, thefancarpet.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with reviews, competitions, the latest news, and so much more.